Hi, Steve. It's a
Hi
pleasure
there.
to finally meet you,
Thank you.
and welcome back to A Sharp. I wanted to find out how and kind of when you got started into production and engineering.
As I said, have you got a day? I
Very.
started in 1972. I went and worked at EMI in Hayes in London, in England, and making cassettes and 8-track cartridges for about 2 or 3 years, and then I managed to get an interview at Chapel Studios, which is in Bond Street, and that was one of the major studios in London. That was 1975, and I got the job. Out of 65 tape operators, we were in those
Yeah.
days. They weren't called assistants because we were operating tape machines. um, and then I managed to get that job, and that's how I learned my trade, really, from there.
Yeah, so
Doing
kind of
orchestras.
just leaping in.
Leaping in, but it was an apprenticeship, and you had to be able to make lots of tea. You had to be able to place microphones for 60-piece orchestras every day.
Yeah.
Including a rhythm section, so there would be bass players, drummers, guitar players, keyboard players, piano players, harps, 45 strings, and you had to do that every day.
Far out.
So you learn how to do your job that way, because if you screw it up, you're out.
Yeah.
And we'd record it all live to stereo and mono, and put it out. It was all mixed live, pretty much. And they'd record it to multi-track tape machines as only for safety, but generally they were all mixed live and taken away the same day.
Far out. That's like it's like old school, kind of like you don't really get that
I know,
here
but
anymore.
no, you can't do that anymore, and I consider myself very fortunate to have done that. But yes, it's old school, which I find highly amusing because there's only one school. We have air and ears,
True.
Sorry.
Very true. So what kind of got you into doing that? Like, did you have early influences in music that kind of made you go, I really want to be
Oh
a
yeah,
recording
well,
engineer?
my parents were both in show business, and I was surrounded by it from the day I was born. Really, my mother was a singer, and my father was an actor, and I was surrounded by performers all my life, and I come from a
So you just
family.
kind of went
It was second nature to me. I passed no exams, absolutely no clue about anything. All I wanted to do was make records, and that's what I ended up
Yeah.
doing, which was fortunate.
very, very cool. So those kind of, did you have like early studios that you went and worked at that were dreams to kind of work at for you from what you were kind of surrounded by?
Sort of. It was a job, though. I mean, it was also hard work, and you didn't really have too much time to dream without wishing to be putting anything down. It was hardcore.
Yeah.
You had to just be there at 9:30, set up, and it was a big setup, and you'd be shouted at all day.
Sounds
get it-
really fun.
Oh, it was fun because it was first time get it right, and these are all people that could really play, and you'd be treading over Stradivari on the floor, Stradivarius,
Yeah.
very expensive violins, and all the string players would have their Bentleys and Rolls Royces out the front, and that's what every day was like that. Well, every morning was like that, and then in the evening you'd get rock bands in like the Jam who'd come in and
Yeah.
record their next single
Yeah.
in the evening.
It's a very big contrast.
Massive
kind of thing.
contrast, but it's all music, you see. So I was very fortunate to be able to go from one to the other within hours,
Yeah.
and have to break one session down and then start another one, which is how I learnt how to engineer
Yeah.
very quickly, because I also had some wonderful teachers. I worked with a guy called John Timperley, who I reckon is one of the greatest orchestral engineers the world has produced. One of them. He worked on loads of Shirley Bassey stuff, and you remember Emerson, Lake and Palmer's The Theme from a Common Man, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That he recorded all of that. He also did the
Wow.
original Small Faces records. He did the Cream's first album. So I had a fantastic tutor, and he just said, over there, do this, do this, do this, and of course he was right every time, because it's an expensive situation. The
Yeah.
studio's like, look, imagine an orchestra. How much is it going to cost you?
I don't even want to fathom how much.
Well,
it
it was
has to be in pocket.
£25,000 a session, pretty much.
God, that's a lot of money. It must feel like quite I guess a lot of pressure for you as an engineer to kind of get it right straight away. So
Absolutely.
is there like anything that's really important to you? in the core of like producing and engineering that has to be there in every
Oh,
session?
like microphone technique's imperative.
Yeah.
Because all these people could really play. So you don't have, there's no excuses. If the microphone has to be in the right place,
Yeah.
and if you weren't ready to record at the right time and you were late, you'd get into trouble.
Okay. That's
And we
really
also
bad.
had to edit with razor blades on tape machines.
God.
So
Labor-intensive.
the orchestra would, if they made a mistake, they'd stop third verse and then we'd count it in, and they'd do the second half, and then we'd have to chop it together with sticky tape.
With sticky tape. That's
pretty much.
incredible. Wow. Okay, so that's kind of like a general rule that you kind of apply to your production when you're doing engineering. Is that
yes,
everybody's on
yeah.
time.
Everybody's. Yeah, it's an event. It must be an event. I like to make sure that everybody's extremely well rehearsed before they come in. You don't come in here to rehearse.
No.
You come in here to make a record, and
Yeah.
it's an event, and every moment is precious, and that's how you capture the magic.
Yeah. Okay. Is there like particular techniques that you prefer to use to be able to kind of capture the magic that you just know work for that?
You have to. What you do learn is the technique is there are basic rules that you must apply every time, but otherwise you've got to bend. People come up to me and say, "So what's your vocal chain?" And I'll say, "Well, it depends on the singer." There's no set rules, because if all these do different things, I mean, there's 4 compressors here.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Yeah.
They're not the same. They all react differently. So it depends on who's singing
Yeah.
and what instrument you're going through. But particularly with singers, there's no cut and dried rule as to, oh, I have to have that, blah, blah, blah. But I'd always use one of these, for instance.
Okay.
But I mean, there's no set rule as to what microphone I'd use.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're recording Jimmy Barnes, you don't use a Telefunken, for instance, because it would just break up.
Yeah.
That,
That it would on his vocal.
yeah, because you wouldn't be able to pad it down enough.
Yeah. Okay. So because you kind of have to change your techniques every single time that you come into the
Yes.
studio with different artists, do you have like a particular genre that just kind of is really fantastic for you to produce an NG that you love producing?
As long as it's organic and it's played, everything.
Okay.
I have a problem with
Equal opportunist.
Yeah, no. But it's like from country to rock to orchestral to classical and to jazz, all of which I have done all, but it's all played. Duff I have a problem with, because it's the Duff is Duff. EDM I can't do, but other people can. But
Yeah.
that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, fair enough.
Only because I think it's because it's probably because it's powered by 240 volts, so the timing's just, everything's 4 on the floor, and after a while I go,
So do you have a favorite, like an artist that you absolutely adore that's like the most memorable moment of your recording life?
that's so hard. There's been quite a few. Ooh, dear me. I suppose working with Monty Python in the early days was amazing, even though they were all very silly. It was also very eventful. And then I worked with Toyah Willcox, and she was a big star in the UK in the 70s and early 80s. Screaming Jets Here was amazing. I've just finished another record. Every time I work
So
with
I've
them, it's a joy. Because Dave Gleason is, I still think, one of the best frontmen this country's ever produced, and I've seen a few. Look, I try to make every single one fun and an event, but yeah, they're the ones that I've really enjoyed working on. I mean, Skunk Hour are great too. I really enjoyed working with them too. That was also good fun. I try to make sure that the next one's
Yeah.
always the best one that I've
Yeah.
done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So before you head off, what is it about A Sharp that kind of brought you to being here that really appealed?
I got a call from a band called Five Way Addiction, who really wanted to make an album with me. So we started looking around for studios, and they did actually.
Yeah.
They looked around. They said, "Check out this." We found this studio in Sydney where we're going to come. They were just going to do demos here, because we were going to then go up and record it in Byron.
Yeah.
But we came in and I met Richard, and then I looked at all this. And then I looked at in there and I'm going, why are we doing demos in here? And we did the demos and eventually ended up keeping 3 of them as masters, and then came back and did all the rest again. And it sounds fabulous.
Okay.
That's the story.
Yeah.
I mean, demos. You don't come to somewhere as brilliant as this and do demos. You can do them in your bedroom.
True.
Or not quite, not with.
You
can
can
do with some things, but no. And it's a beautiful studio. It's incredibly well equipped, amazing microphones. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen the design of that wall in there? Have you been in?
I have. Yeah,
it really works. The whole room works. The drums sound great in there. It's got everything that makes me happy.
Everything
that makes me happy, and of course Richard's wonderful. He
Oh.
looks after me, and he surprised me with magical cups of tea.
He's apparently very good.
He is very good. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Oh, me too. What's next? Oh God. Next is Diana Anade.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember her.
No. Might be a
she's
little
a-
bit.
She's a fantastic singer-songwriter, and she's living up in Byron Bay. So that's next. That's
Will you bring her down here?
It's nearly finished. Is what I mean. Is we're sort of on the verge of it nearly being finished. So because I mix up there, but
Yeah.
the next thing here is actually Greedy from Mental as Anything
That's going to be cool.
in a couple of weeks.
That'll be very fun.
Yes, that's going to be great. He's in fact rung me 3 times today,
Ah.
asking me if that was him. Sorry, we got interrupted on the phone. He's rung me because we're doing 3 new songs, which are 3 new Mental songs. So I'm going to have a meeting with him this week, and then we're here in 3 weeks.
Excellent.
I think
we'll
it's 3 weeks, 2 weeks time.
Very cool. Maybe we'll have to do a little bit of filming of you.
That would be great, actually, because he's also he's a lovely man, and he's also very clever. And there'll be some really good players here that night, because the new band are really happening.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing that album. Or
Well,
That
it's
he's
the
coming out.
beginnings of a new Mental as Anything record, is what it is.
very exciting stuff. We'll check in with you in a year then.
Thank you.